Hello, Internet friends. This is Tim Schrock from Design Build Solutions bringing you today's Tech Tip Tuesday. I'm trying out a couple new things here. One is I'm at the library, and two is I've got this handy-dandy microphone. So I'm curious to see how this sounds. But I am bringing Tech Tip Tuesday and repeating, elaborating, if you will, on last week's tip on line types. We discussed creating and editing line types from our libraries and creating new ones. And at the end of the video, I kind of had a question for myself of how to manage the height of the line types. And so today I've been running some tests on that and figured out some answers. So let's get into it. I am working on Chief Architect Premier version X10. I remember these options for quite a number of versions back. And I've never played with like Home Designer Pro or anything like that, but most of these should work for your version as well. If they don't, I'd be curious to know what version you have and what computer operating system you're working on using with the Chief Architect. So let's get into it here. I've got 4 different lines drawn in Chief Architect. The first is, my mouse is not working, there we go. The first 3 are the cold water, large, medium, and small versions here. Let's zoom in on this. Large, medium, and small. And then my steel mesh line type. I've also typed out text that is 1/8 of an inch tall, 3/32 tall, and 1/16 tall. And that corresponds to, if you remember, let's go to Edit. I'm right-clicking and open object, and that text interesting. Oh, there we go. Text is 3/32 tall for the medium. Open object on the large. Text is 1/8 of an inch tall on the large, and 1/16 tall on the small. Now, I did the Tech Tip Tuesday video last week on my iMac desktop computer, and so I don't have the large, medium, and small steel mesh that I did shared with you in the library last week. I will put a link again in the description here for a free download of these 6 different library objects with the 6 different line types. I've got cold water and steel mesh, each have large, medium, and small versions. So anyway, let's get back to what I drew here. I know when I send from the model into a layout at 1/4 inch scale, a text 6 inches tall will actually print out as 1/8 inch tall at 1/4 inch equals a foot scale. So I did this text at 1/8 of an inch tall, 3/32. I copied it down and did 75%. Copied this 1/8 inch down here and did half again. The same on this side. I wanted to see what text at 1/8 inch tall with the CW, 3/32 tall, and 1/16 of an inch tall. When it's printed at 1/4 inch scale on the layout, what that's supposed to look like for comparison. Now this line type, my steel mesh, I didn't use capital letter X. I used a small x. So at 1/8 of an inch tall, text is to look like, this height. And so I typed a small x versus a capital X. And I drew 2 lines 6 inches apart, so 3 inches off of the center line of this steel mesh. So 6 inches apart, and you can see the bottom of the capital X and the top of the capital X really are that 6 inches tall. So that when I send it to layout, this is what we've got. Now, at first, I want to show you this. When I zoom in, this is scaling, the line types are scaling all over the place, right? I sent it at 1/4 inch scale, I sent it at 1/2 inch scale, so when I zoom in like that, it doesn't really change much. Now, somebody suggested I could go into the print preview mode here. So I'm going to click this on, and when I zoom in, it doesn't change there either. So interestingly, what I played with today was I went ahead and printed it to PDF files, my test to PDF files, but we can see it right here that the scale of the text of the line type is not actually changing. So my CW large, if I hold my line to the top and bottom, that is actually looking about the same. My CW medium is 3/32. My CW small is right about that 16th inch tall. Now, my steel mesh, my capital letter X is the right size, but my small letter X isn't a full 1/8 of an inch tall, obviously. So I don't know typography that well, what a small letter versus a capital letter is, if that's what, 2/3 or 3/4 or what that's supposed to be. Now, coming up here, looking at 1/2 inch scale, notice when I sent it at 1/2 inch scale, the CW large is not as tall as what I would have expected 1/8 inch type to be. Now, I did leave this at 6 inches, so when I send it at 1/2 inch scale, this is actually going to print 1/4 inch tall. This text will actually print out full size, measured on a tape measure 1/4 inch. So this would be measured at 1/8 of an inch. Interestingly, so 1/2 inch, there's no difference on the line style between the line style themselves when I do a different scale. Then it hit me. I've got these examples where it does make a difference. The difference between the two is when you're sending to layout. Let's go back to our model, and I'm going to send to layout, and there's an option here. We have options when we send this to layout. We can send it to a specific page number. We can snap to an active CAD point that's on the layout. We can show the layout page once it's sent. We can send options entire plan view, just the current screen as an image. We can make a copy of the active layer set. All that's another video. But right down here, line is scaling. When I check use line layout scaling, I'm going to cancel this. All right. The two options on the left have that line layout scaling option checked. The two on the right do not. Okay, so that's what I've never really played with this all that much. I've always had it checked, and I didn't know why I was using it. Now I know why. So when I could do a 1 inch scaling, 1 inch equals a foot. I still still leave this checked, use layout line scaling. Send it to the layout here, and I'm going to just overlay these two on top of each other. So when I'm using the line layout scaling or layout line scaling, the line styles will end up, the Chief will automatically calculate and make those line layouts the height that they are defined as in the open objects properties when you created or edited the text height of that. So that is the difference. That is what that check mark is for. Just briefly I'm going to show you the options. The first option I tried, I didn't have the lines long enough. The second option I found, there's one of them showing, I stretched it a little longer. Oh, now a couple of them are showing, etc., etc. And now we see that it actually is printing to PDF in the proper line style scaling. So this is 1/4 inch equals a foot. That CW large, cold water large, is actually printing 1/8 of an inch tall. At a 1/2 inch foot, CW large is printing at 1/8 of an inch tall. Because this CW right here is half of this 1/8 height. Because even though this 1/8, it says 1/8, it's really 1/4 of an inch tall if we would print this off at full scale. Now over here, I did not use line layout scaling, and so that whatever scale you send this to, it's going to be Chief isn't going to do that automatically. So this CW here is actually 1/4 of an inch tall, just like this CW over here, and this 1/8 inch. It's twice as tall because the scale is twice as much as this version down here. If you've got questions about this, I'd be curious to know what you think of the video and what you think of the information and your question about the line layouts. If you have ideas for future Tech Tip Tuesdays, things that maybe you've gotten stumped on or not quite sure how to do efficiently or effectively, let me know. I'd be curious to check that out, and I'll try to incorporate that into future Tech Tip Tuesday videos. Otherwise, check out my website, www.designbuildsolutionsllc.com. I got it right this week, for examples of my work and how to contact me directly. I've enjoyed sharing this tip with you today. I hope you have a wonderful week. Goodbye.